Okay, so this is how I'm actually going to make sure that this rod is exactly straight up and down, the displacer rod. So I took these cardboard circles that I cut out with a like a craft tool, and then I basically just found the center of them, and I'm going to put that down inside there, and it'll be centered exactly. And that's actually how I found the hole. I actually have some other ones with bigger holes that I basically just put a marker in there, and the marker was sticking straight up, so when I put the lid on, it made a mark. Pretty simple, but it was the exact center. And I checked these to make sure they're exact center by if it's the exact center, then when you stick them close together and spin one around, it should never like overlap much. That one's actually not perfect right there, but so yeah, that's how I'm gonna do it. Okay, so as you can see, this is the displacer rod right there, and look at that. There's just a little gap all the way around, so it's perfect in the center. Look at that, it just pops right in there. I'm really happy with that. That looks really nice. So now I just gotta solder that. Okay, so I just got the tube and the tube that will go to the piston soldered on, and the slip rod or whatever you call that all soldered on. So those look real good. And I also got the top water jacket all made up. So I've got a little adaptation there for the little port there. And it fits on there, so that's good. It's a little tight. See, you have to kind of bend the tube over a little bit and it'll go on, because they have to be a little bit closer at the top than at the bottom. So it's hard to do with one hand, but it does go on there. There we go. But as you can see, it's still loose around there once you get it down. So, but that looks real good. So now I'm just about ready to solder this on. I just need to put some sacrificial anodes under there. Alright, so here's the last update on the sacrificial anode experiment. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to use the zinc from this experiment because, well, they're already pre-made, or they're already ready and everything. And I don't think they're eaten away very much, but I'll have to see. Wash them off real good. But as you can see, it's all dried up, and they are very, very rusted away, in pretty much all of them, actually. Even the ones with the sacrificial anodes. So this is actually the battery one back here. As you can see, it's all just coming apart. But this is the one with salt. And look at that, there's barely any left of it. So, and then this is just the plain water one. And this one is really bad too. So the sacrificial anodes definitely look like they did do something. Because see, this one, it's not totally eaten away, but, and that's the one with salt. This is the one without. So it looks like the one with salt, actually. Although it was a little bit bigger piece of steel wool. So it looks like they're all pretty much rusting. So, I mean, this is better, slightly, than this one. So it is going to make some improvement, but not a lot. Okay, so there's the zinc sacrificial anodes all in place. So 4 of them on the top, and then I'm going to put 8 in the bottom part. It's probably overkill, but who cares? They're only 1 penny each, so it's like 12 cents total. So not a lot, but so looks pretty good. So I think it's ready to put the top on there. Alright, so the top water jacket is all done. Looks pretty good. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and cut around there. And then this is actually a test one that I already did, but it was too short actually. It was one that was already cut for some other project. So I cut around it and left the lip, and then I took like a screwdriver or something and went around there and bent that so that it's kind of flat. One more thing, make sure you have a sharp blade, because if you do, it'll be like cutting through butter. So, because it's so easy cutting it if you have a nice sharp new blade. Before I was trying to do it with a dull blade, and it turned out terrible, because it wouldn't go in, and then all of a sudden it'd jump in, and it would cut a big gash out to the edge, and so it looked really bad. So now that you've got that cut out, all you gotta do is take something rounded, like the back of your blade, and go around like this pressing really hard and rotate it around there, and it'll slowly get it big enough, and then you have another piece of can, and you can keep checking it till it's the right size, and once you've got it the right size, you can slit it down the edge, and it should fit over. So, yep. Okay, so I've got the lower water jacket all made up, and I've got the sacrificial anodes soldered in there. So I've got 4, which will be at the bottom, so that's where the water will be actually sitting, so those will probably get eaten up. And then I've also got the port on there that matches up with that hole there. And I've got 4 around here too. So it looks pretty good. So I've just got to put it on there, and I've got a slit there so that it'll stretch apart and I can fit it over. Okay, so right now I'm actually soldering the bolts in place, or the nuts, I'm sorry. So I'm soldering the can and the nuts pretty much at the same time. But these are brass nuts that I'm using. First you have to sand them off. I'm using the Dremel to do that. So I sand them off real good, get them all shiny. And then I have to use 2 soldering irons, one on each side, in order to have enough heat to heat up the metal around it and the nut and this metal. Okay, so the first step is to apply some flux. When you're soldering things like this, flux is your best friend. Use lots of it. Not too much, but because then it will cause you problems when it's boiling away. It'll cool the joint down, but use a good bit. So now I put the bolt in. Probably the part that takes the longest is sanding the bolt off, because it's always burning your finger. So when you're holding it. So now what I'm going to do is I've got my solder here, and I'm just going to take one of my soldering irons and put a big blob of solder on one side. So over here I'll start. But as you can see, I just can't melt the solder over here. It just doesn't, the heat doesn't go that far. So and this one actually, no, maybe it didn't flow. I thought it might have flowed behind, but you can see there's a gap. Little gap back there, which will probably be a leak if I don't fix that. So alright, so now I gotta get my other soldering iron in here. So stick them both in at the same time. And there you can see the solder flowed back there real nice, I think. Oh yeah. You can actually see it better in the camera monitor than in real life. Okay, I think that looks good. That joint there looks a little bit bad right there, but it should be good. Often the joint, when you do soldering, the joint will look bad, but it actually is good. So, just because it'll flow into the joint and actually make a seal when it doesn't look like it does. But the nice thing about soldering is it's instant. Like this, I mean that joint, it took 5 or 10 minutes to go all the way around there, and it's done. I could run it now. It's basically, the engine's done now. There's no waiting time for it to dry, or really the only time is for it to cool, but you could dunk it in water if you're really impatient. But yeah, I think that joint should be alright. Yeah, so that looks awesome. Nice shiny solder joints and everything. No, that's the one thing with glue, is when you like use the blue silicone or red silicone, it just doesn't look so nice because it's all gloppy and it's all over the place. It just doesn't look nice. I like how this looks. It just, all the shiny joints, just looks awesome. So I am quite happy with how it's turning out so far. I hope I can get a watt out of it, because that's been my goal. So here's the displacer. So it's basically 2 aluminum can bottoms with lots of holes in it. And then I had to use wire connectors, but I had to kind of squish them so that they were a little bit wider to accommodate the larger shaft. So I just took them in the vise and squished them a bunch till they got a little bit bigger. and then it's just steel wool in between that. And so stay tuned for those videos, and thanks for watching.